Welcome to the Defense and Aerospace Report. I'm Vago Muradian here at the Navy League's annual Sea, Air, Space Conference and Trade Show in National Harbor, just outside Washington, D.C. Our coverage here is sponsored by Fincantieri, Huntington Ingalls Industries, and Leonardo DRS, and we're here at the Fincantieri stand where we are making a little bit of news. Retired United States Navy Vice Admiral Rick Hunt has just joined the company from Raytheon, where you were, and now you're going to be Fincantieri Marinette Marine's strategy chief. Sir, welcome aboard. You were at Raytheon on Friday and you're here today.
That's exactly right, and I'm glad to be here. This is absolutely terrific. So, being part of delivering a needed ship with great combat capability, affordability, a view to the future is exactly where I want to be.
And thanks very much for making time, because I know how busy you are at the show, and you're standing in front of a poster because the ship's going to be visiting at least one of the ships from the Italian Navy, which is one of the FREM multi-mission ships. It was an Italian and French program. Each nation has a slightly different ship, and then the Italian Navy has three variants of the FREM ship, and it's the anti-submarine warfare version that's going to be here in the United States. And we visited it, the Carlo Margottini, when she was in Doha, and we were in Doha a couple of weeks ago. I want to start off with looking at it as you do, with the experience you have as a former senior Navy leader. What do you think? And I understand that your job is to sell this point, but what are the features and the attributes of this ship that you think make it particularly suited for this frigate competition the Navy's holding?
I think the biggest is margin, the availability, the ease in which you can change equipment sets. That drives affordability, a very positive way. So it's the space, it's the ability to adjust to today as well as into the future.
There are a vast array of priorities that the company also has. We talked to Francesco Valente, the CEO of Fincantieri in the United States, and one of the things, and as you go around your stand, there are icebreakers and a variety of other ships. You guys are the only guys who actually get two licks at the frigate ice cream cone, because both of the LCS designs are in there, and you guys are the ship constructor for the Lockheed Martin variant of the ship as well. Talk to us more broadly from a strategy perspective, what the other opportunities you're pursuing in the U.S. market, or are going to be pursuing in the U.S. market.
Well, first of all, we have to finish the LCS Freedom class that we're doing. That is ongoing. There's a 4-ship Saudi LCS variant that we are going to manufacture also for Lockheed. Polar icebreakers, one of those things that we are competing for. And then we get in, hopefully, to the FFGX, and I think we'll be a very strong contender for that.
There is a wide variety of international DNA in each, or in many of these ship programs. Mm-hmm. If you look at it, Austal is an Australian shipbuilder. The Freedom class has Italian DNA in it through the Fincantieri element of the program. Navantia is teamed up with General Dynamics, which is a very strong Italian flavor on it. You guys are bringing an international design, because again, it's a Franco-Italian program, even though the DNA you're bringing here is Italian. And then we don't know what Huntington Ingalls is doing. Full disclosure, they're one of our sponsors as well. And they're cooking up something that addresses that challenge. As you guys look at manufacturing this ship in the United States, how much work are you guys doing to make sure that, obviously, with any ship program, there are a whole bunch of requirements. Yeah, you were in the Navy, you know how stringent the Navy is about systems and particular systems that go into it. Talk to us a little bit about how you guys are going to work that to make this as American a ship as possible at the end of the day.
So we are certainly going to meet all the American criteria for shock testing, survivability, those sort of things. One of the things that we bring that we think is a very strong aspect for Fincantieri as we go forward is what we learn in the commercial shipbuilding industry. So we are a huge manufacturer of cruise liners, super yachts, and have learned an awful lot about new construction techniques. That enables us to change, to adjust to different customer demands, including the U.S. Navy, and to meet any of those criteria. I think of it as, in the comm electronics area, you look at what we've brought in from Silicon Valley to spread across all the defense industry. Same kind of things. We need to bring in state-of-the-art ways of doing business and not necessarily be wedded to things that we did decades ago because they were the standard and continue to be. So I think accepting new, innovative, different ways is exactly what you need to do to get the repeatability, the quality, manage cost, hit those time wickets and stuff. That's what we're going to bring from the larger Fincantieri expertise, building clearly an American product.
You have, I think, a lifetime of experience with the United States Navy. Navy has always prided itself on being innovative, but the message from Navy leaders is, and the tone that you get is, this is a different time. That innovation is accelerating, and that the service and the force is more open to ideas than it's been in the past. Do you get that sense? Do you get the sense that the Navy is actually genuinely going to be moving quicker and is going to be more open to some ideas than it's perhaps been in the past?
I absolutely do. So I've been in many meetings over the last 2 months with Pentagon leadership to include the Navy side, Secretary, Admiral Richardson, Secretary Gertz on the ASN RDA side. And all of them are viewing this as a bit of a sea change where we must take a look at new innovative ways to go forward. When you take a look at the National Defense Strategy and what it lays out, lethality, this ship brings lethality. You take a look at the affordability aspect. I think that goes to construction techniques, repeatability, a proven design in the water, 6 Italian warships right now, and frankly, I go back to speed of relevance as the third. Some people might talk partnerships, which opens up the whole idea of foreign interaction, with all these shipbuilding programs in the United States. But when you go to speed of relevance, being able to produce, being able to change and upgrade, the adaptability, again, I think that is absolutely core to this particular hull design.
There is, every time there's a competition this big, there's always a robust discussion in the community about, okay, well, you're trying to war game out, who's got the advantage going into this. On the one hand, there are folks who are like, neither of the LCS ships have a chance at winning because this was done to bring something else aboard. On the other hand, you even talk to Navy leaders who are like, look, we're going to have 26 of these, so having some form of force commonality might be a good thing going forward there somehow, so that at least you'll have the residual 12 ships of either of the class that you can build on. There's that thinking. There's another one that looks at it and says, they may want more multi-mission mini DDGs, out there, which could favor whatever Huntington Ingalls comes up with, which is a great destroyer yard down in Pascagoula, Mississippi, or what the Navantia guys are bringing with a design that's actually proven pretty popular on the international market as well. And then folks look at you and they go, well, but this is an optimized ASW ship with electric propulsion. As you're looking at this dynamic, again, what do you think augurs well? Do you think that it comes down to propulsion train? Do you think the electric drive? What do you think are the things that are going to discriminate you guys at the end of the day?
I'd go back to mission first and think about what the frigate has to do. It has to operate independently with credible combat power. I think if there is a bit of a criticism with a littoral combat ship, it would be exactly that. Can it self-defend? Can it operate for an extended period of time by itself? This is a 6,000 nautical mile range. It can operate for about 45 days independently. That's pretty good. That meets or exceeds U.S. Navy standards. So you've got to be able to operate like a frigate, be independent, and at the same time, should combat occur or the situation drive you in that direction, you need to have combat capability that is additive to the strike group or the surface action group. When you look at the combat systems that are going to go on the FFGX, this ship, this hull in particular, brings that capability. The ESA radar that goes on there is equivalent to a Spy-1D that we have on DDGs right now. It's got 16 or 32 VLS cells. Think of the power that you can put in there with the different weapons that are produced to include SM-2 active that Navy is starting to procure or will in the near future. So she'll be able to operate in a reasonably dense anti-air warfare environment, clearly a stellar performer in anti-submarine warfare, multi-mission ship to do multi-mission needs, to get out there in numbers, to have presence that we know is so vitally important for U.S. national policy.
And you guys also have anti-surface, right? Because there's a module midship there that also has anti-surface weapons.
Absolutely correct, and that could be yet to be decided as Navy is about to come out with the over-the-horizon missile. One of the competitors for that is Naval Strike Missile, which is a huge long-distance capability. So yes, so we do virtually all the mission areas that you would expect out of a surface ship, and we'll be able to perform it very effectively.
Forgot to ask you that. Actually, I've been staring at it the whole time. It says May 2018. So talk to us. Ships coming to the United States. What ports it's going to hit? Because you guys are, obviously a great relationship between the Italian Navy and the U.S. Navy for a very long time. But you guys are also working on a roadshow on this thing a little bit. So talk to us a little bit about the ship that's coming over and where she'll be going.
It's a great opportunity to interact with U.S. Navy, and we'll do that by end of May, I think in the 20th of May. Go into the Bay Cape SOP area, spend some time in Norfolk with the fleet down there, then get underway, come up to Baltimore, after Baltimore, New York City, and then Boston. So it's going to be a good East Coast rundown of 4 different ports. We are going to be open for visitation and looking forward to getting a lot of people to see exactly what the ship is like. Again, like we were talking about a little while ago, walking through the interior of the ship is just phenomenal. It just speaks to the high quality of engineering and the way it's going to be good for the crew as well as good for maintenance and upgrades and all the stuff that goes with life cycle challenges.
And which one of the ships is coming? Because I know it's an ASW version. Which ship is it?
ASW variant, and I'm uncertain right now what particular hull it will be.
Well, like I said, we visited her. We visited the Carlo Margotini when we were in Doha, and it was great to actually see the ship. And I'm not just saying this from the standpoint of sponsorship. Check out our video that we taped aboard the ship. But it was very thoughtfully designed. So it was really, really an interesting ship to be on.
It'll be a great opportunity for especially our Navy leadership, both officer and enlisted, to take a look at the ship and just see how well designed it is. And I think ideas will start to flow on how come we can't make more like this and where are we going to go in the future.
Now, you are Marinette, obviously a legendary shipyard up in Wisconsin, and I asked whether or not you're going to be working out of there or working out of D.C. because you've been working out of D.C., but you're from Wisconsin, but you're not going to be heading back home to Wisconsin for this job.
Not immediately. I'll spend a good chunk of time here, going ahead and working forward on this pursuit for FFGX. Where I end up, I'm not sure, but I did grow up in Madison, spent a ton of time in Wisconsin, love it back there, and expect to spend a good amount of time back in the state.
Sir, thanks very much. Welcome aboard. Looking forward to working with you in the future. Best of luck.
Right. Thank you very much.